What if Ferrari was not only hiding its true performance, but preparing in Maranello a technical leap that could leave the entire grid unanswered from the first races? Ferrari has decided to change the rules of the game, but it has not done it in front of the cameras or in the Grand Prix. It has done it silently in Maranello, where winning seasons are really built. While other teams focused on validating basic configurations or hiding their real performance, the Scuderia has gone much further, using these tests as a true war laboratory where each piece, each concept and each decision has a clear objective: to get ahead of the rest before they even understand what is happening. What is being seen in these tests is not a simple evolution, it is a profound change in mentality. Ferrari has left behind that trend of previous seasons where they started strong but deflated as the races went by. Now the approach is completely different. Build a solid base, even conservative in appearance, but with a brutal margin for development. This means that the car they are testing in Maranello is not even remotely its final version, but rather the starting point of something much bigger that will grow race by race. This approach is directly reflected in the technical aggressiveness of the SF26. Ferrari is not copying, it is not reacting, it is proposing. From innovative power unit solutions to aerodynamic concepts that seek to maximize every detail of the regulations, the team is exploring paths that others have not yet validated. And that, in Formula One, has a double edge. Either you make a mistake, or you make a leap that no one can follow. But the important thing here is that Ferrari has decided to take that risk. Additionally, there is a key factor that makes these tests even more important: data collection. Ferrari is racing not only to be fast, but to understand the car in depth. Each run, each adjustment, each change on the track aims to feed a development model that allows them to react faster than their rivals once the season begins. And in a championship where tenths are everything, that ability to react can make the difference between fighting for podiums or dominating races. But the most shocking thing about all this is the message that Ferrari is sending without saying a single word. While other teams are still searching for their identity with the new regulations, Ferrari already seems to have a clear, structured and aggressive plan. They are not waiting to see what others do, they are forcing others to react. And in modern Formula One, that's exactly what the teams that are one step ahead do. This is the true beginning of the story, not on the grid, not in the classification, but in these Maranello tests where Ferrari is building, piece by piece, a threat that has not yet fully shown itself, but that is already beginning to make the entire grid uncomfortable. This is where Ferrari stops hinting, and starts to really show why it is generating so much concern within the paddock. Because if Act 1 reveals the change in mentality, Act 2 takes us fully into what is most important: what they are technically building in Maranello and why it can be a real turning point in today's Formula One. The SF26 is not a conventional car, and that is beginning to show in each of the decisions that Ferrari has made during these tests. We're not talking about small improvements or fine adjustments, we're talking about a complete reinterpretation of how a car should operate under the current regulations. One of the pillars of this revolution is in the power unit, where Ferrari has introduced key structural changes, such as the use of different materials that allow it to better withstand temperatures and optimize performance in extreme conditions. This not only improves efficiency, it also opens the door to working with much more aggressive engine maps for longer. But this doesn't work in isolation, and Ferrari knows it. That's why another area where they are pushing as hard as possible is the total integration of the car. The pushrod front suspension is not just a copy of other successful concepts. It is a key piece within a system that seeks to maximize aerodynamic control and cornering stability. This allows the car to be more predictable, but also more adaptable to different settings, something essential when your goal is not just to be fast on one track, but on all of them. And then there is the element that is generating the most noise, although Ferrari is not showing it openly: dynamic aerodynamics. The concept of a wing that can modify its behavior depending on conditions is not new in theory, but putting it into practice effectively is extremely complex. Ferrari is testing just that at Maranello, looking for an advantage that is not only one of pure performance but one of versatility. If they get this system working correctly, they could have a car capable of adapting better than anyone else to each phase of the race. The most interesting thing is how all this is being tested. Ferrari is not looking for fast times in these tests, it is pushing the car to its limits. They are causing uncomfortable situations, exploring extreme configurations, even accepting controlled failures in order to understand exactly where the performance ceiling is. This type of approach is typical of teams that are not thinking about surviving a season, but rather dominating it. In addition, there is a detail that completely changes the reading of all this: the context of the 2026 regulation. With a greater dependence on the electrical component and a completely different balance between power and efficiency, Ferrari seems to have understood before anyone else where Formula One is really going. And that allows them to work from now on solutions that not only work today, but are designed to scale throughout the championship. This is where the real narrative tension begins, because while Ferrari moves forward with this aggressive approach, the rest of the teams are still in the understanding phase. And in Formula One, when a team understands the regulations sooner, the rest always lag behind. What we are seeing in Maranello is not simply good work, it is a declaration of intent. Ferrari does not want to compete on equal terms, it wants to change the reference point. And if this entire technical package works as expected, not only will they have surprised everyone, they will have forced the entire grid to start from scratch in the middle of the season. And this is where the whole story converges, because what Ferrari is building in Maranello is no longer a promise, it is a real threat that can completely change the development of the season. If everything they have tested in these tests manages to be successfully transferred to the track, Ferrari will not only have taken a step forward, it will have advanced several phases of development compared to its rivals. And this in Formula One has an immediate domino effect. It forces the rest of the teams to react, but to do so without fully understanding what is really working in SF26. That the key point here is time. Because while Ferrari is already validating advanced concepts and understanding how to evolve its car from a solid base, other teams will still be trying to correct initial problems or find the basic balance of their cars. That difference in approach can translate into something very simple but devastating: Ferrari improving when others are still fixing mistakes. And this completely changes the narrative of the championship. We are no longer talking about a team that starts strong and falls, we are talking about one that could start solid and grow without stopping. Each update that arrives will have behind it a much richer database, much more worked on in these Maranello tests, which would allow them to hit more and fail less compared to previous seasons. In addition, there is a psychological factor that cannot be ignored. When a team surprises in tests with innovative solutions and a clear plan, it generates doubts in its rivals. And in Formula One, doubt is dangerous, because it can lead to hasty decisions, copying concepts without understanding them, or even changing technical directions in the middle of the season. Ferrari, without saying it directly, is pushing others to make mistakes. But the most important thing in all this is that Ferrari seems to have learned from its past. It is no longer just about having a fast car, but about having an understandable, evolving and adaptable car. And that is exactly what they are building in Maranello with this aggressive but structured approach. If they manage to connect all the pieces, the power unit, the dynamic aerodynamics, the suspension and the new development approach, Ferrari will not only be in the fight, it could become the team that sets the pace for all of Formula One in this new era. Because in the end, the real surprise is not that Ferrari is working well. The real surprise is that, for the first time in a long time, they seem to know exactly what they are doing and where they are going. And if that is confirmed on the track, what began quietly in the Maranello tests could end up becoming the beginning of a new era of dominance. Ferrari has ignited something in Maranello, but it's not just speed, it's not just innovation, it's intention. What we have seen throughout this analysis is not a team testing parts, it is a structure that has changed its way of competing. A team that has understood that in modern Formula One, the one that starts the best does not win. The one that evolves the fastest wins, the one that understands its car sooner, and the one that makes fewer mistakes when the pressure increases. The Maranello tests have left a very clear feeling. Ferrari is no longer reacting to what others do, it is leading the way. And that, in such a tight championship, is what separates the contenders from the true dominators. Because if all this work translates into real performance on the track, we won't be talking about a momentary surprise, we will be talking about the beginning of something much bigger. A change of cycle where Ferrari not only fights again, but forces the entire grid to rethink its own development. Now the big question is not whether Ferrari will be fast. The real question is, will others be able to understand and achieve what Ferrari is already building from Maranello? And that is where everything is defined. Because if the answer is no, then these tests will not be remembered as a simple pre-season. They will be remembered as the exact point where Ferrari began to change the history of Formula One again. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.